What's the impact of these tariffs on our neighbor to the north? The Canadian Foreign Affairs Minister has already warned of, quote, responsive measures. We've got O'Shares ETFs chairman and a Canadian on the line, Kevin O'Leary. Kevin, how are you?
Great to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, it's great to be here. How do you react at first as a Canadian to these tariffs on Canadian steel and aluminum?
Well, I'm a Canadian. I'm also Irish, but I'm an investor. And I actually flew up. I just touched down in Los Angeles, but I flew up to Toronto specifically to be there for the budget, which was just brought down yesterday in Canada, expecting some changes in it that I didn't see. But here's the challenge today. So I have many interests in Canada. I've got many interests in the U.S., and many of them do business together. Let me give you an example. In the automotive manufacturing space, companies like Magna and the large automotive manufacturers that they service take a chassis primarily made out of steel back and forth across the Detroit border 7 times while completing a car. Now, it is not even, there is no scenario where you're going to tax that thing 25% 7 times. So the integration and logistics built into the automotive industry are incredibly complex and have been since the founding of NAFTA a long time ago. As an investor, I have to look at my holdings now in Canadian automotive part manufacturers and ask myself, what is going to happen? What are the likely outcomes? So I sat down yesterday waiting to go through the budget with accountants and lawyers, expecting to see a change in the corporate tax rate in Canada, which is at 26.7%, which was always much lower than the U.S. at 35%. With the stroke of a pen, Trump made Canada incredibly uncompetitive. Yeah. And now as I allocate capital, I have to take that into account. Let me give you some examples in the last few months. Shell moved $12 billion out of Calgary to Texas. ConocoPhillips moved $17 billion out of Canada because of a carbon tax and higher tax rates. The country is shell-shocked right now. It is never anticipating anything like this would occur, but it's not only uncompetitive corporate tax-wise, it has brutally high taxes personally, and now no competitive advantage in oil and gas.
Let me ask
Believe me, there's a lot of people running around worried about this. I'm one of them.
Back it up just a bit. We'll get back to the business side here, but Kevin, you're a master marketer, right? I mean, there's probably almost nobody better, except for maybe the gentleman in the White House. And here's what we were just discussing. There's nothing signed yet. We've been talking a lot about the media, about Hope Hicks's departure, Robert Mueller's investigation, fighting with Jeff Sessions. Now what are we talking about? Tariffs, trade, tariffs. Do you think there's part of this, which is Trump, who may never go on signing this, just distracting us with a tariff talk? Is there a chance this doesn't happen?
Well, you're raising a great point. If it's a negotiating tactic, it's definitely worried, because I can tell you most investors in Canada are looking at this saying, this is a crazy outcome. Because you got to remember, the number one trading partner of 38 states is Canada. So nobody wants a trade war on either side of the border. But I'll tell you the way I look at it. I trust Wilbur Ross. He is a very intelligent guy, and I've watched him work in the debt markets forever in places like Cyprus and Ireland. He's not an idiot. He knows he will totally dismantle the logistics in the automotive industry with this on steel at 25%. It could never happen. It would destroy so many jobs on both sides of the border. So I'm waiting to see what the next shoe and where it is and where it's going to drop, because even just that industry, hundreds of thousands of jobs are at stake for both sides. We can't have mutually, assumed destruction. That's crazy. But as an investor, I have to be cautious. And I sat with all my Canadian companies yesterday in Toronto, Canada, and I said, guys, I want contingency plans. I want to know what the plan is here. If this happens, what are we doing? Because I'm not paying 26.7% tax when I can pay 21%. And so there's a lot of capital that's going to be leaving Canada. And Morneau was a huge disappointment. He brought his budget yesterday. I went specifically to see it. What a disaster. Didn't even address the fact that Canada's not competitive. So there's lots of moving parts in this. But you're right. I can't believe Trump would implement this. It would be insane. It would be insane.
So let's work on the assumption that some sort of tariff does come through here. Let's talk about NAFTA. C'est fini, NAFTA?
Yeah, NAFTA is a problem, but it's a problem for both sides. When we talk about NAFTA, softwood lumber, we talk about milk byproducts, dairy. All of these issues are mutually assured destruction, because if you go to any of the border states right across this, we have the most peaceful border on earth. The Canadian-U.S. border is the largest,
Okay.
most, well,
I'm joking.
you know, I get what you're saying, but there's no way on earth we want to destroy. If you're a state that has your number one customer is Canada, you don't really want to go to a trade war at all, because it's not good for either side. And there's so many products and logistics. It's not just steel and aluminum. There's all kinds of other industries. The tail for the F-35 is made in Canada. It's made out of aluminum and steel. The tail on the world's most expensive fighter, it's made in Canada. Now, are we going to tax that 35%? That's crazy.
Well,
that's
a finished product, though, right? That's a finished product.
No, it isn't. It's not considered a finished product because it's just the elements of the tail which are stamped. I've been to the plant. It's one of the most remarkable technologies on Earth. Each tail has its own serial number. Each tail is ready for combat and is X-rayed, and all this stuff is built in Canada for the manufacturers. In fact, I don't think anybody in the White House thought this through yet, and that's why probably you're right. You can't just turn that into law and not have massive repercussions.
Right.
It would be just, particularly in logistics and manufacturing, where across this border, companies in Waterloo, companies in Vancouver that are integrated into their counterparts in Seattle, all of this stuff is going to be a big problem. The tech centers, half of the games that are designed for Electronic Arts are in Montreal. So, and as an investor, I've been investing in all of these companies over the years, knowing that they have a great access to the world's largest market, the U.S., and their costs are 20% less. The Canadian dollar trades at 80 cents. So you want your sales in the U.S. and your costs in Canada. That was the model. Now it's been turned upside down. So
Kevin,
look.
Go ahead. Finish your thought. I'm sorry.
Well, I'm just saying that you're right. There's probably a second chapter to this. But is Trump a great negotiator? Is he flexing his muscle? Oh, yeah, baby. Everybody feels it up in Canada.
All right, Kevin, thanks very much. Kevin O'Leary, O-Shares. Appreciate it.
Hey there, thanks for checking out CNBC on YouTube. Be sure to subscribe to stay up to date on all of the day's biggest stories. You can also click on any of the videos around me to watch the latest from CNBC. Thanks for watching.